1, 2, 3. That was a good one. Go for it.
What up, guys? I'm Joey.
And I'm Dylan.
And we're White and Rice.
Yes, sir. You got that backwards. We're a couple guys who love films. We love talking about films. We like seeing films. And just generally discussing the things that happen in the film industry.
Indeed. However, we don't have any credentials, and everything we say is our, again, opinion.
Yeah, and last time we checked, opinions are still legal, so just remember, what we do say is pretty much up to us. And if you don't like it, that's all right.
Tough titties.
Yeah, just clock on over to the unboxing of the newest Hello Kitty blanket.
And some more blankets.
And wrap yourself up in that cozy warmth, you know?
Indeed.
Yeah, so, you got something on your mind here, Joey?
No, I don't. What are you talking about?
Okay, you fucking weirdo.
Breaking news, everyone! Oh, yeah! Alright, big news. So, just last week, Sony and Disney kissed and made up, and Spider-Man is now going to be in the third movie of the trilogy, and then supposedly in another MCU movie. This being said, God, fuck you. We're of course hoping that in the next few years that these movies are made, that Sony freaking gives up the rights, or at least just goes, okay, guys, just take Spider-Man, just take them, take the universe and everything, and give them to MCU because they know what they're doing. Marvel Studios has knocked it out of the park with Spider-Man. I'm not saying the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans are bad or anything like that. I'm just saying Tom Holland is the best. These movies are the best. Please just keep him in the MCU because his future is the new Tony Stark. It's going to be amazing. That's it. You want me to keep it down to 2 minutes? There you fucking go.
So just for any of the folks who aren't obsessed and potentially sociopathic about this series, can you remind everyone what MCU is?
Marvel Cinematic Universe.
There we go.
And I guess essentially break it down a little bit more. Sony owns the rights to all the Spider-Man properties because they bought them a long time ago. And Marvel Studios then came about, and they own the rest of the rights for all the other comic book characters, excluding Spider-Man. And Sony won't give them up. Therefore, Sony still owns them. Yada, yada, yada. Anyway, great news, though.
And I will also say, Spider-Man is one of the most, for me, like, endearing characters in the Marvel Universe. I'm not entirely sure why. It might be because the Tobey Maguire trilogy came out when I was quite a bit younger, but I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man does rip. He's a great character. So it's been interesting to see how the Spider-Man movies have evolved over time. And even like they made the movie with the Bane guy, but he was playing the Venom movie, which is interesting. You know, Spider-Man shoot off. And
yeah, we don't
need to get into that today. But we actually have a couple great movies that we want to talk about today. The first one being a pretty silly Goose Time. You want to jump into that one first?
Yep, we're going to talk about the Netflix movie of Between Two Ferns with Zach Galifianakis. What? Galifianakis. Will Ferrell and many others that you know and love.
Everybody's in it.
Just a little intro, if you haven't seen Between Two Ferns. It started out as just a little YouTube series with Zach Galifianakis interviewing people, celebrities, big time people, and they're politicians, and they're very awkward interviews. I don't know. I know some know about it, but I feel like some people don't know about it. Or they're just great at acting very pissed off, but they're very awkward.
Someone that was I'm sorry. At a romantic fling that was
funny, silly interviews. Some hit, some miss.
Yeah. Well,
there you go.
And Between Two Ferns definitely plays up like the anti-humor interview style that's been pretty popular, I'd say, at least in the past 5 to 7 years. You know, like Eric Andre and Tim and Eric. Like, the whole like, okay, celebrity shows up to an interview, and now we're just going to take them for a wild ride. And nice. Anyway, so they took that YouTube online internet series, and then they put that whole thing into an 80-minute movie. There were definitely parts of this where it felt like it was a little bit of a stretch. I mean, they went from these 3 to 5 minute interviews that are hilarious. You can look them up they're all free online, to a whole full-length feature film. And the movie is really just a whole collection of Zach interviewing various people that's loosely held together with a bit of a storyline.
Yeah, which is basically Will Ferrell does own Funny or Die. It's a web series, and they have all these funny videos and skits, yada, yada, yada. And basically the story is Zach Galifianakis has to get 5 episodes done.
Was it like 8?
Or maybe
I
it
feel
was
like it's
8.
more than 5.
He has to get a certain number of episodes done in order to keep his show and then to become a big TV nighttime talk show host.
Yes.
And that's the story.
The neat part about that is it's a little bit of lore about that whole world with Funny or Die. So I guess Will Ferrell actually was one of the co-founders of Funny or Die back in the day. Zach Galifianakis was a partner in that to some degree, which was the real genesis of Between Two Ferns. So that's kind of neat, and that was something that was in the movie. But then they're kind of parodying their own characters. So it is Zach Galifianakis, it is Will Ferrell in this movie, but they like add in some extra spice. Honestly, Will Ferrell's scenes are some of my favorite scenes of that whole movie.
Like you said, the kind of the parodies of the personalities of all the actors and actresses and stuff is quite funny.
It's unbelievable who they get in that movie.
Yeah, it's great.
There's so many crazy cameos, and I also wonder how budget works for something like that, because some of those in the trailer, it's not a spoiler alert, but in the trailer, Matthew McConaughey's in it. And that guy's one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood. Yeah, so it's like, did they pay him his full amount? And then you have John Legend. And you've got the talk show host. They had
David Letterman.
David Letterman's in it. Crazy.
Yeah, Paul Rudd's in it.
Paul Rudd.
A lot
classic.
of people.
Yeah. So, anyways, it's a fun movie. Maybe similar to some of the other movies we've talked about. It definitely doesn't take itself seriously, and if you go into it with that mindset, you're gonna get some great laughs out of it.
It's a lot of highs and a lot of just, So it's entertaining. It's fun to watch. Definitely laugh quite a bit sometimes. Other times, not so much. But that's Between Two Ferns. That's the show.
Well, and they released it through Netflix, which I think was extremely smart, because this isn't the type of movie I'd recommend going to a theater for. This isn't really a theater movie.
I'd say it's like a sports game where you're losing, you're winning, but at the end of it all, you had a great time and you won.
Sure. We can leave that at that. Let's hop into our second one.
At that.
Oh, I think my
allow myself to introduce myself.
Okay, we're going to talk about our second one, which is a completely different type of movie, Ad Astra. It's the newest space movie out there.
Space is cool. Space is tight.
Space is tight. And I actually think that we were both loosely introduced to this when we walked out of the theater for Ready or Not and saw the poster. And we're like, whoa, Brad Pitt in a space movie? What's this all about?
I already knew about it.
Okay, I didn't know about it. This movie is essentially a near future where we have furthered our space exploration abilities, and there's this deep desire to find out if there is more intelligent life out in the universe. Brad Pitt's character is he's a highly decorated astronaut, but his father is even more reputable. But then it turns out that his father is actually lost in space, might not actually be dead, and may actually be the reason for some really horrible things that are taking place on Earth.
Just some power surges. No spoilers right there, by the way. But it's everything
just the general synopsis.
Honestly, in the trailer, I had no idea what this movie is about. But that is actually a better synopsis and a better trailer for what the trailer is, because you're just kind of like, what is going on? I had no idea what this movie's about. I just knew it was Brad Pitt in Interstellar.
And I think, there's definitely a very similar feeling to Interstellar. You have a parent and child relationship, which Interstellar had that. Absolutely incredible VFX. I mean, the visual effects and the environments are astounding.
Cinematography was great.
Cinematography is off the charts. The sound effects.
Sound effects were great, and they did a really good job of capturing the fact that there is no sound in space. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's a movie. You can't always have it be silent. So they did a really good job at that. Like you said, it's absolutely gorgeous. Mm-hmm. All in all, before we get maybe deep dive into the movie a little bit more, it was entertaining. It was definitely worth watching. Yeah. It's definitely a theater movie if you like going to theaters. A very cool, like you said, visually great and just an entertaining movie. I'd probably watch it again.
I would like to watch it again.
Yeah, but it fell short in a few areas. And apparently there were reshoots, which...
Well, I think we'll get into that in a little bit.
Without any spoilers, usually when there's reshoots and the production studio gets involved, that's usually kind of messes up a movie. And if they added certain scenes that I think that they did add, it kind of did. Like I said, entertaining. But do you have any more about that before spoilers?
Yeah. I was just going to say, I think this is honestly one of Brad Pitt's best roles. Some of his acting
he did
is just unbelievable. A lot of it is really just Brad Pitt by himself. It's the classic Brad Pitt role that I love. He's very smoldering, very like intentional, and then it pairs well with the pacing of the movie, which is very, very slow. This is a slow paced movie.
Definitely.
This isn't your Ridley Scott action film in space.
No.
This is definitely a lot more
That's
about
all suck these days anyway.
Yeah. True. But yeah, Brad Pitt just did an incredible job, and I think that paired with a lot of new actors, because there's a lot of new faces in this movie for the folks who are in it, with the visual effects and everything, it makes it a fun movie.
I loved seeing, I don't know the actress's name, forgive me, but she's in Preacher.
Oh yeah, I'll edit that in post.
Okay, cool. Sweet. But I love her as an actor. They all say actor these days, whatever, same difference.
When I was a psychiatrist, and this is before I became an actor.
You're still not an actor.
Lovely.
Triggered. Yes. But I love seeing her in there because I like her a lot. So that was great. She had a small part. Now, getting into some spoiler territory, everyone. Not huge. Some of my qualms with the movie, I'm just going to run through them and then you can comment on them. One of them was they get to the moon because Brad Pitt has to get to Mars eventually, and they're just going to go from there to Mars. So they get to the moon, and they have this convoy going to the dark side of the moon, and the moon, they describe it as the Wild Wild West. So they have this security team with them, and literally the head of the security team is saying, yeah, it's like the Wild Wild West out there. We've got like mercenaries and just people trying to kidnap people or take resources, so on and so forth. So it's dangerous. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, they know there's danger.
They know there's danger.
Yeah.
They have a squad of 3 cars. First off, all of the moon rovers don't have a roll cage.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Or just any coverage.
There's no coverage whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's like what they use now. But that doesn't make any sense. It's in the future. We can have rockets going everywhere. They know it's dangerous. You can have a covered vehicle on the moon. They don't have that, first of all. Second, of course, they get attacked by mercenaries or bandits, whatever. And they get destroyed. The guys only have pistols for some reason. The bandit stuff have machine guns or rifles, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you guys were prepared. You're supposed to be a military escort and like a good one. And you just fail miserably. I think that was one of the reshoots because there wasn't enough action in the movie.
Yeah, that definitely was, like, if you take a step back and kind of take apart different scenes, that scene had a lot more action than any of the rest of the movie. It kind of, like Joey said, felt like an add-on or like an afterthought because, like you were saying, there's more action than other parts of the movie. And, you know, we can't ask that all movies have like perfect logic with every single scene, but it did feel...
It's kind of like a forced plot device.
It was just so strange. And it didn't really do anything for the movie.
Right.
I think it was just another example of showcasing Brad Pitt's like crazy low heart rate, which is a big part of the movie.
Right.
Brad Pitt... Pretty much, the main takeaway from this is Brad Pitt is the most chill man in the universe.
Chill ass motherfucker.
Just the lowest heart rate always.
He's fucking Matthew McConaughey in this movie.
Yeah,
he's chill. It's, Brad Pitt in Interstellar.
Great.
Hey, Mr. Pitt, can you be in the space movie? Sure. What do you want my character to be like? Matthew McConaughey. What? Just be chill as fuck.
Very chill.
So the other scene that I had troubles with, and it's minor troubles, but there's a scene where he's heading to Mars with a crew, and they respond to an SOS beacon. They go on this science ship.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they go on the science ship, and then they are investigating it. No one's responding. They find a baboon, and because they're doing animal testing and stuff on this space station, and they find a baboon, and there's a squabble, and a fight with Brad Pitt and the baboon.
This is in the trailer that's posted. You see the baboon.
The baboon, and the baboon kills the captain. Brad Pitt goes back on board, and it was basically just another like kind of plot device to, we have to get rid of the captain. How are we going to do that? Let's have him go on this SOS ship. So it was kind of like, it was like, okay, so you just needed to get rid of the captain. And I don't know, it was like, okay, I guess I can believe that, there's animal testing. I believe that.
Yeah.
But, when they were doing animal testing, first of all, where they're like, hey, what kind of ape can we bring up there? Like a chimpanzee? Like, no. What's like the most aggressive and violent and territorial ape that we get? Let's get a freaking baboon. Great idea. My buddy had mentioned that maybe it's more of like an Odyssey where it's about the events that happen to your destination that add to the story, and they don't necessarily have a purpose. It's just about the adventure.
They're just like little markers, like chapter heads, and
and
I get that, but I mean, I think I'm gonna agree with you on this one. The baboon scene was just odd. It felt like it was just another afterthought, and it was just kind of tossed in there. So
I think also the use of computer animation is a big complaint of mine, and I'm sure many other people that love movies.
With
but
the baboon?
Yeah, Jurassic Park has the best. The original has the best combination of
like practical
effects and computer animation. And
agreed.
They didn't need to use computer animation for the entire baboon scene. Like when he comes up like off of the captain's body, looking all fierce, that could have been a practical effect right there.
For sure.
And it just makes it more real. Because when you look at it, you're like, it's 100% computer animated. I know this.
It totally felt...
It definitely takes you out of it and doesn't make it nearly as intense or scary.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I think like having a chapter marker there at that point in the movie made sense, but did it have to be a random baboon in outer space? Maybe not. So,
that being said, we're going to go on to my last little complaint, and I think you agree with this. Let me give you if the trailer were to actually do a spoiler and describe the plot to you. In a universe where Brad Pitt has daddy issues, he'll go out to the far reaches of space, Neptune specifically. Then his daddy will have issues as well. But in the end, they all get their baggage figured out. Rated PG-13.
Yeah, kind of, but like also not. It
was just so many like freaking. It was just like, Dad, I never knew you. Oh my gosh, and I finally see you, and it was just like
it was weird.
The whole thing was a daddy issue thing. It was like, really,
Yeah, it's like the whole fate of the universe is on this tipping point of whether or not Brad and his dad can, make it good.
Yeah,
and the extent. And I mean, I actually really liked the journey, the emotional journey that Brad Pitt's character goes through. It's actually pretty incredible.
It's good.
He has other elements of his life that he needed to deal with as well. And they never expose too much about his character, but it's slowly told throughout the physical journey he goes on through outer space.
True.
And then there's like this parallel of the emotional journey that he's going through. Then there's like the bigger picture, which is this ominous threat that's being possibly posed by his maybe alive father who might be crazy. I mean, it was neat, but I do think that I think that y'all should go watch this movie in theaters. It's really great, but I'll let you all make up your own minds about how you feel about the dad's character, because there's definitely some things about that I'm like,
yeah, right. But like you said, it was mainly a journey about Brad Pitt.
It's totally Brad Pitt.
100%. And it was cool. And he did a slam dunk, fantastic job.
Yeah.
Yeah, so very entertaining movie. Oh, one more thing, I forgot about this. And if you guys watch this certain YouTube series called Screen Rant, they do pitch meetings. And by the time this comes out, I wouldn't be surprised if they mention this. But it's the intro to kind of like the plot. And Brad Pitt's brought in and debriefed on this classified information.
I hate those scenes in movies, by the way.
And it's an exposition scene, and they're like, yeah, your dad was on that mission. He's still out there. We think he's alive, and these power surges are coming from the station, and we think he's doing it himself because the power surges are being created by the dark matter on that station.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, it's dark matter, and it can annihilate all life on the Earth if these power surges keep going. And you're like, okay, so how? And they're like, well, because it's dark matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I understand it's dark matter, but, is there an explanation as to how this is going to cause a cataclysmic event and kill all life in the universe?
That definitely felt like a little cop-out.
Like, no, it's just dark matter. Just let it go. It's dark matter, and that's going to happen. And the other thing is, they didn't need to make it so that it's going to kill all humanity.
Yeah,
it could still just be very devastating. It doesn't have to be
like saying.
And I think that's probably a production studio coming in here.
Yeah. Well, and then the one thing I would add on that is like you bring up that scene, and it's like I think the best example of these kinds of scenes is in Pacific Rim, where the protagonist is like called in and they're like, we got to pull you out of retirement because you're our last hope. And then the protagonist is like, I quit. And then they're like, but the weight of the world rests on your shoulders. He's like, I don't care. I turned my back on humanity a long time ago. And then they're like, I'm out. And then they're like, yeah, but this thing. And then he's like, all right, suit me up. And that's pretty much what happened in that scene. It's a little bit loose. And I think that overall, this movie it's a beautiful film. It's a wonderful space film. If you're into that sort of movie, check it out. But there's definitely some things within the storyline that might not be all that fulfilling. It's Chill Brad does space. And I think that anyone can enjoy Chill Brad in space.
Yep. 100%.
Cool. Well, that's all we got for this segment, folks. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you've seen the movies and if you have your own opinions, because you are entitled to those lovely little words in your mind. But we don't care. So, all right, ta-ta. Go home.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.